This is the 20th season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. We'll lose some viewers right off the bat because we're doing a bass fishing golf show. Because I do a show every day and I really like golf and I really like the comparisons between the two, even though one has a lot more zeros on the end of everything when you win and as far as how much it's worth valuable wise. But I was perusing social media this past week, which happened to be Masters Week, which was won by Scotty Scheffler, world number one. And we will talk about that with our guest today. But I also saw that him and his lovely wife left the kids at home. And by kids, I mean their two dogs. And headed to Georgia to watch a practice round of the Masters. And I said, man, it's been a while since you've got all the viewers and listeners fired up by comparing golf with bass fishing. So we're going to bring in our guest today, fresh off of the Masters, and it looks like he robbed the pro shop. One and only a regular.
Yeah, I was just taking a picture of that. I saw you had the hat in the background. Look at that.
I got it right there. There it is, the Ocean Pony hat, Darold Gleason.
Love it.
So we actually have updated. Oh, well, it's actually no longer. I don't know if you saw the first couple months of the show. We did update it to where it just said Darold Gleason here with Pro Guide Batteries. And then they did like a high fully produced one. So.
Yeah, no more titles. Yeah, and look, this stuff in the merch shop, I've never shopped like that before. I went in there and started snatching and grabbing like it was like free. I felt like I was on the old game show Supermarket Sweep, where like you're just snatching stuff. But it wasn't free. But it was a cool experience.
That shirt fits like a Peter Millar. Is that a Peter Millar?
No, this one is not. I did buy a Peter Millar, and it's actually a little too big for me. So you can probably look for that on eBay. Yeah.
You're not gonna hit the gym and buff up or
no. I'm
to the age where I can do wild weight swings in about a 40-day period right now. Like because I turned 40 in like 3 months. You're like the same. Didn't you just turn 42?
I'm fixing to turn 42 next week.
I meant 42.
Yeah.
Like
40 as well.
Well. Yeah, there you go.
A couple years ago. Yeah, I'm fixing to turn 42 next week. But no, now my weight seems to go the other way. Like it's easy. I guess maybe I'm getting old enough now. I'm starting to like get my old man deal going where I still kind of eat what I want and I'm losing weight. So it's wonderful.
Oh, you're on the KVD pattern now.
God, that'd be wonderful.
Remember how dude, the guy KVD was like the exact same build, still is to this day. But that's because have you ever seen him stand still?
No.
He's constantly burning calories from the time he wakes up to the time he goes to bed.
Yeah. Well, no, I actually had some remorse when I got home and we went through our merchandise haul and I saw that Peter Millar shirt in there and I saw the price tag. I was like, Look, I don't do that stuff, man. I'm like a tightwad with shopping, especially with clothes. I thrift shop, man. And I saw that. I was like, ugh. And then I tried it on. I'm like,
someone without trying it on. So here's what we're going to do today. I wanted to get you on because so the Masters is some would say a tradition unlike any others. And
yes.
But you got a chance to be on the course and follow a practice round of the Masters. And then I just called because I like golf. I was chatting with you and you started talking about stuff. And I said, screw it. You want to jump on Wednesday and talk about this? Because we started to get into some things that I thought was really interesting that I think could benefit the sport of fishing, some things that they do over on golf. There's a ton of different parallels and we're not going to get into the fishing is like golf. We're talking about everything that surrounds it, the event, the spectators, the way it's viewed, the whole 9 yards. So that's what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah, I think maybe like you said, it was time for you to try to poke the bear and try to compare the two. But I mean, me personally, as a fisherman being there, and especially like I have people in the boat with me who don't know about tournament fishing, that's kind of how I felt that day. I didn't realize a lot of the things they do to prepare. I just didn't realize the steps. It was kind of cool to, firsthand see how they work through that.
So one of the biggest things in fishing that has been a hot button topic amongst, I would say, all the way, I know the MLF Pro Circuit guys, as far as their practice schedule that's kind of changed, the BPT, the Elite Series, the Opens with 5 days, is the practice schedule, how everybody goes about finding fish. So when that tournament starts on Thursday morning, you have a game plan and you have everything dialed in. From the outside, it looks like all the golf guys like do the exact same thing to get ready. Did you get a chance to like watch how the best in the world prepare for the biggest tournament of their year?
Yeah. So the first thing, we were there on the Monday practice day.
Okay. Is that the first day of practice day, or how many practice days do they get?
That's their first day of official practice. But like some of the guys do go on their own and play ahead of time. Like they'll go with buddies and play and things like that. And, a lot of the guys, it's similar in fishing. A lot of them like to work together and play together, right? So okay. I know like Tiger and Justin Thompson. I know Justin Thomas, they had been there earlier. And they're just getting their eyes on the course, how the rough looks, how it's laying out. But first off, the coolest thing to me when we first walked through the gate we walked through, we were right on the driving range. First thing in the morning, and like total goat move, Tiger Woods is out there, the only dude on the range, 48 years old. He has won everything in the sport, has more money than, me and you'll ever have, right? It's just so cool as me being a competitive fisherman, thinking of all the early mornings we get out there and how long we stay and like everything we're doing to try to prepare, to see him out there first thing. Like I thought that was pretty strong goat move. The other part that I found fascinating is they're fully in control of their practice schedule and their week. And not everyone, like even on day one, like not everyone even plays around. Some of the guys may just go to the gym, or they may go work on their short game or to the driving range. Some guys do 9 holes, so that was as far as trying to find parallels to fishing, like, me and you both know guys that sleep until 9 and go practice a few hours for a tournament, and they're prepared. So the biggest thing I saw there is each person has to find their way, what works for them to prepare them best. And so that was pretty fascinating to me that you didn't see, everyone on the course grinding. Everybody goes about it the other way. But the biggest difference to me though, man, is these guys, we have sponsors, we have people that support us. Like I have my wife with me traveling, helping, but they have a caddy, and that caddy's like their eyes on the lake. Maybe that's their forward sonar to say, it was really neat to see like several of the caddies walking around in groups together, no player with them. And they're walking the course, and you could tell they were like shooting distances from like where they thought their guy would drive it to in the fairway. They would shoot distances and things like that. And then they'd walk up on the green, and of course they had a flag in, and the players are kind of notified, where the pins will be each day. So like, will it be a front right, a back left, etc. And so the caddies were actually walking the course and like pitching balls on the green with their hand, like just throwing balls to watch how they roll, and they'd make notes of how they're breaking. And so a lot of that to me, I know it's different, but it's the same mental preparation and physical preparation that we go through for a fishing tournament. When you talk to someone who's never fished a tournament and you start talking about, I have 3 days of practice, they look, I can see it in their eyes. They're like, what do you do to practice for fishing? Like, what do you practice? So that a lot of those things were the same for me with the golf stuff. I didn't imagine the guys walking around chunking balls around. That's next level. When me and you play a round of golf, there's no prep work. We go play. I mean, any prep work is us having a cold beer before we start. It's not like that technical. But for these guys at that top level, it was just that part to me. I really enjoyed seeing the little details that their whole team goes through to get these guys ready.
You mentioned the team, and that I think is important because there's been, we've done shows in the past specifically with Mark about what if you had a caddy in fishing that helped you get your stuff ready that after you work. So I watched all the Masters build up and all the prep, and they have a camera on the range. What
Right.
stuck out to me was not only the caddy there, but a lot of them bring their coaches as well
Right.
too. So you literally have, it would be like, is that even feasible to do? Like a caddy would be off limits right now, because what you're saying is like, the caddies were walking the course without the players and making notes and then going back. So I remember in 2019, it was a big deal on what the caddies can and can't do on the greens during the official rounds, as far as like lining up their players, standing behind them, that whole thing. And then you could say, if you, and we'll get away from the comparisons here in a second, but you could say the Alabama rig was the belly or chest anchored putter that then they got away from, to where you'd have to have the arm. So there are a lot of parallels there, but I always thought it was interesting how much a caddy can play into the outcome of a tournament based on their practice and their familiarity with the course, especially somewhere like Augusta where they go every single year.
Yeah, that part was pretty unique, but like I kind of agree with you as far as the comparisons. There's not as many as people think beyond the. It comes down to the player, and that's how it is for us in fishing. You can have a great support team. You can have the best equipment. We have service trucks there. We have all of those type things they have. But even in the end, even for them, it comes down to the player. He's the one that decides the club he hits, the shot he's hitting. He's just getting advice from his caddy. So I almost kind of looked at the caddies like, it's kind of like my Garmin kind of saying, hey, if it could speak, go fish this point over here. But I don't think we could ever have anything like that in fishing. Fishing is it's just built to be a solo world. You know what I mean?
How detail oriented are these guys when they're out on the course? So you're walking it, like
Super.
how really
super. Yeah, it was. I mean, so like some players were playing, and we got to watch some of the players play. Like we watched Scheffler and watched Tiger. We saw like some of the cool ones play some holes, but it's a practice round. So like they would hit their tee shot, go down the fairway. Some of them would pitch an extra ball out and hit 2 or 3 balls from different spots in the fairway. Then they walk up to the green. And of course, when they're doing this, their caddies are with them. And you can see some of them having some conversations, but the players are a little more laid back. Like they're talking with their playing partner. They're kind of cutting up. But like when they got up to the green, they didn't necessarily always even putt the ball they hit up there. They would throw out other balls. They putt to those other sections. We watched several guys would go pitch one in the bunker and hit a few bunker shots. You could kind of tell they were planning. And even, I hate comparing the two, but even how we plan, like in fishing, like I got an early morning bite. If that don't work out, I do have another limit spot. Like they were pitching their balls in the bunker and like planning almost like, if I miss, where should I miss? Or if I miss, how do I play it? So they were trying, you can tell they are meticulous how they're trying to plan this out, making notes in their notebooks as they done it. Viewing how the balls roll out if they're in a certain spot, things like that. So I do think there's some comparisons there on how meticulous some of them are, and then others just are so laid back. Like I always think of someone like Jordan Lee. I know he's like a super hard worker, but like I also think that he could just roll out of bed and go catch them. Like he's very nonchalant. Where a guy like me, when I was on the elites, I wanted to be the first guy there, the last guy out of the water every day. That was just important to me to feel like I was super prepared and stuff. So there's some comparisons as far as to me, it's like such an individual sport. I do think their support system's a little different than ours. And that's just something I don't see why we would ever have it or need it.
It also costs a lot of money to do what they're doing. Like, I mean, they're $100,000 in there, just depending on how they win with the percentage for that. And then the coach and then all their family and stuff. But
now look, you mentioned the coaches. That was something my wife, like she likes golf like I do. And it was cool for her to be there, but she was blown away by the coaches being there. She just could not believe their coaches are with them. They're fixing to play. But I think at that point, some of it is, hey, I'm doing this wrong. Help me. But I think most of it is just to have that. It's their support system. It's their normal. To have their coach on the range with them. Hey, that was a nice shot. Or just to stand there. I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of technical coaches trying to fix things. I just think they're there in case they're needed. But, you mentioned the dollar surrounding it. So, like, I got into this whole Masters wormhole, like on social media, TikTok, all that leading up to it. Man, there are different dollars that they both win and spend compared to our worlds, right? Like if you want to really go down a wormhole, go find Tony Finau's wife. Like she does the whole breakdown, what they spend on a week, because they travel as a family together and they fly to the events and they rent homes. And man, like there's some fishermen who what they spend in a week, that's what you spend in a year on tour, like traveling around the country. The numbers were pretty wild. But, and again, even there, not all the guys are doing that. The guys are just getting their career started, just getting out there and grinding their way through. They're not following it up, flying private, I'm sure. They're probably bunking up with each other and stuff. So it's one of those, it's for me, it's something, golf is something I've always enjoyed. And the Masters was really cool. Like, so you're not called a fan. You're called a patron. And when I say you're called a patron, it's on air. You're called a patron. The players call you a patron. The people there, like you're a patron. You're not a fan that week.
No cell phones.
No cell phones, and that was you have to check them or leave them in your truck or whatever. So we checked them and didn't have cell phones for the day. You are allowed in practice to bring a camera, but even then, no videos, just still pictures. So once you walk through those gates, it's like you're frozen in time. And look, it was a great experience not having your cell phone for a day, dude. I think we all need to do that every once in a while. But like everything there's like frozen in time. It was really cool. There's no, so like in your concessions and even like in the merchandise store, all that, there's no brands of anything. Like you buy a cola, you don't buy a Pepsi or a Coke. It's cola. You don't buy a Bud Light or a Miller Lite. You buy a domestic, a import, or they had their own brew called the Crow's Nest. That was the one.
Delicious.
But like
and
even there, like
the cup.
You do get to keep the cups. I brought several cups. I didn't misbehave.
How many cups? How many cups do you have?
7. I think 7. I behaved.
Wow.
7. But like, we did the whole thing, dude. It's their concessions are like famous. You get in this long line, but you like blow through it quick. And it's like a snatch and grab, pimento cheese sandwich, egg salad sandwich, $1.50 each. Then they had other stuff that was like $3. I think a beer was like $6. So, but there's no brands. You buy a bag of chips. It's not Lay's or what. I mean, there's no brands in there. It's only Masters things. Only thing, even in the merch store, even like the Peter Millar stuff, there was no sign that said Peter Millar. You just
Masters.
So just Masters. It was cool, but a lot of it, like we've watched. I've been into golf my whole life, and so through the phases of life for us, we've watched some of the cool moments, and getting to walk inside the ropes and see all that was really cool, especially since everything, again, it's like it's frozen in time. So one cool thing, you don't bring your cell phone in, but they do have a phone bank. Like I'm talking like an old school, looks like a pay phone, but you don't pay anything. And so what you do is you write down phone numbers of friends and you call from the phone bank and it pops up as the Masters. So
that's what everyone's doing on the phone banks. They're calling their friends. So it says the Masters on the cell phone.
I called 5 or 6 buddies. A couple of them answered. A couple let it go to voicemail. The ones that let it go to voicemail got some really cool voicemails because that was after, a couple of those beers, and I was feeling pretty good, and I was leaving some funny voicemails for them. But it was cool to share that like kind of stuff with my golf buddies and stuff. One of my buddies that's a poker pro, he actually answered. He was like out of town for a poker tournament. And, he posted the screenshot or whatever where it pops up and says Masters. He's like, when you get this number, showing up, you got to answer it. So it was cool. They had a lot of cool traditions.
Rules? Like when you walk in, were there rules as far as watching? So I think about that with the fishing too, as far as guys watching anglers compete on the water, which is public. Right. You're no longer on public ground. You're on, the Masters ground, which is a private club, right?
Yeah, it's private, and they have like everywhere you look, there's volunteers or security or whatever, but a lot of it's volunteers, and they like control the movement. The flow of traffic is really controlled, like with ropes. So like they have the fairways roped off. You can't go over the rope. It it was pretty easy actually when you got out there, as far as following the guys, all that kind of stuff. And there's always people around. If like you're unsure, hey, can I do this? They'll let you know. But like you actually cross the fairways and stuff like that, but you never really cross what's in play.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Like they have the places you're walking for the most part is not where their balls will be landing. And then like when a group of players is coming through, they move the ropes. There's volunteers holding the ropes and they move the ropes and like rope us
so it's
off.
like the channel on Toledo Bend.
Correct.
Where you kind of stay in there, and then like where they're hitting are the forests, and then you have the areas where you can cut across the lake without getting smoked.
It's very similar to that. And so like you can cross those fairways and all that stuff, but whenever players are teeing off or players are about to walk through, the volunteers walk out and hold the ropes a different way where no one can cross. And look, a lot of this because so like this is the biggest thing. It is when I've never attended something like this, right? But when you get inside and you see, so like there's some crazed patrons, fans, hardcore fans, just like we have in fishing, dude, but super hardcore. But the number, dude, you know, we talk about in bass fishing how we think we're so big. Like when you go to a Bassmaster Classic or you go to a large event and you see how many fans are there, we feel big. But like this was just one day of practice, and the amount of people there is just mind-boggling, man. Like how many people are in town, how long. The merchandise line itself was like up to 2 hours at times to get through the line. Like I can't tell you how far it was. Just how many people that were there and stuff was that was the part to me where like golf is just big. And that's why there's so many digits behind the winnings for these guys. It's just so large. There's so many more people involved in that than in our world in bass fishing. Although I'd say they're just as crazy. Like they love it like we love bass fishing, right?
I found this interesting. You know, there's a tech committee on the Elite Series right now that's trying to figure out as things come. It's very regulated in golf. Right now they're trying to figure out, you know, how to make the courses where it's not just driving and chipping with the distance. Right. Anyway, I came across this article, which I think is applicable to know that it's happening in a bunch of other individual sports where everybody's trying to get an advantage. Did you know that Bryson DeChambeau printed off his irons on a 3D printer like days before the Masters, and the USGA was like, yeah, we have no freaking clue what to do about this. Like, is this legal or not? I found it. It said, mad scientists are sometimes infamous for taking risks beyond the comprehension. Bryson DeChambeau did this. The American who studied quantum physics in college is playing with irons that were made on a 3D printer that happened to be so novel that the U.S. Golf Association only assessed the prototype set as legal to use on Monday. It's crazy. Yeah. Wow. And then wasn't there like a putting machine that he was using that they would not allow on the putting greens that like monitored all sorts of, like there's all sorts of little stuff that these guys are trying to do that specifically DeChambeau there, but to get that little edge over their competition, which I found extremely interesting.
It's very comparable, like technology's hitting them the same way, right? But what's different, they actually have like USG or who they have a board that all this goes to, that there's like a governing body, you know, where in fishing, we just have the organization making these choices.
It is, but also you very rarely see, I can't think of anything like technology or that related where a rule comes down like on a case by case or tournament basis. Most of it, like what they're doing this year, which is, hey, it's fair game. We'll reassess everything at the end of the year and then make it like they make kind of tournament by tournament decisions at the USGA, don't they?
They do somewhat. I mean, they kind of have like their conforming standards. So they have a baseline, I believe. And some of this is above my head, right? But I believe they have a baseline on like the performance of the ball, the clubs, etc. And based off that baseline, they do tests to see if your clubs conform to their rules. The stuff on the putting stuff, they were kind of like anyone who's ever played video games or something like a golf game. You can see all the breaks in terrain. So they had some equipment that was telling them that. And I believe they made some rules based on that. Like they were doing that in practice. Yeah, they were like in practice doing that. And it would like literally give them the degree of break. And then someone who's very analytical, like DeChambeau, was able to like say, well, this putt's, breaking 3 degrees. So it gave them an aim point to hit their ball. It's super technical, but it's very compared to what is going on in the fishing world now with technology, changing and growing so fast. Like I wouldn't want to have to make those choices, like what's fair and what's not. I'm glad that me and you aren't making those choices because it's very hard to determine like what's right, what's wrong, and all that stuff. So, but yeah, there's a lot of similarities there. And obviously those guys are trying to find edges how they can. They're not, I don't think they're trying to break rules. They just want the best equipment they can have. And that's what you're seeing in our world too.
The other thing that he does that I find interesting is all of his clubs are the same length, and it's just a different degree on his irons, which reminds me of when Rick Clunn, probably 7-8 years ago now, came out and said, hey, I'm only using like 1 or 2 of the exact same rod and reel combo, so everything feels the same. And for the entire year, these are the only 2 action, length, speed rods and reels that I'll have. I don't know if he still does that or not, but I remember that was a big thing when it came out as far as matching all of your equipment so you're feeling the exact same on the water. But then that seemed to kind of go away.
It did, and I don't know if he still does it. That has, like, we're getting old, Matt. That's probably been a while, dude, because I remember him doing really well at Lake Falcon, and I think Keith Combs ended up winning, and they, like, canceled a day for a wind or something. And if I remember right, where Clunn was fishing, he would have been able to get to and fish it even in the wind. And so a lot of people, thought that was really neat of him. Like he was in support, like it was just too windy to go fishing, even though it would have helped him that day. But I remember he was throwing like a square bill and like a jig or Texas rig worm. Like it was all on one thing. It was wild, dude. Like to think about that because I got all these different actions. Yeah.
There it is right there on Bassman. This is 2001, October 15. Rick Clunn, the man with arguably the greatest record ever in the sport of bass fishing, uses just 1 rod and just 1 reel for 98% of his fishing. A 704 7-foot rod with a 6.3 to 1 Rick Clunn. Now, remember, this was 25 years ago. Yeah. Why? And then it talks into best hookup, rhythm, the whole 9 yards, and it talks about why he uses the exact same rod and reel for every application unless it's a spinning rod.
Yeah, and see, like I remember some of the stuff with DeChambeau talking about that. He just liked the same length on everyone. Now, like, the irons have different lofts and all that still, and that's going to make them go different distances. But see, like that part for me, like Rick didn't do that trying to get a news article. He done that because that helped prepare him. He felt comfortable every time he picked up a rod that worked for him. For me, I got to have, a different rod for each technique. That's what feels right for me. So it's there is some comparisons in like how they go about their business. It's really we're all not doing it the same, even though it looks like it at times. We're all just trying to find what prepares us the best, All
right. I also want to throw this up, and we're going to get you to break down the water around Augusta because you've actually laid eyes on it. I watched it for the last week, and then we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we'll dive into some impact through non-traditional marketing methods, including the Full Swing series on Netflix. But I looked at this hole, and it's called Hogan's Bridge, right?
I believe so. I'm trying to picture which hole this is. I think, is this 12?
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, it's 12.
So in this area right here where I'm circling, I believe there was a nice bass on the bed because I saw water disturbing in a circular motion multiple times throughout the week as players and caddies crossed the bridge. When you laid eyes on these ponds, are they fishy? Does it look like there might be bass in them? Like how does the water around Augusta look?
They definitely look fishy. And anyone who plays golf, a lot of times, if you golf and fish, I play all the time right here at Cypress Bend. I go pick over there and I just look and see what's going on. It's still cool to see one. Like the other day, we saw a shoe pick or a grinnell. They got 100 names. What's mudfish? Yep. I saw one of them at the course, kind of up shallow at our course. But yeah, the ponds looked very fishy. But us patrons do not get that close. Like the image you just showed, we were back in the pine trees in the far area there. That's as close as you really get. So you don't really get super close to any of the ponds. I don't remember being real close. Obviously, they don't want us walking too close to the ponds because crazy people would fall in or, like go skinny dipping in the Masters pond or the Augusta pond. But they looked very fishy. And it's funny you brought that up because I actually took our boat with us. So this was like a little getaway for me and my wife. But I took my boat and I went and fished Clark's Hill the day before we went to the Masters. Never been there before and just kind of wanted to – that was a chance for me to kind of get better on fishing those lakes. It kind of fishes similar to those North Carolina lakes with herring and things like that. But there were fish spawning over there on Clark's Hill. So I guarantee you there was fish spawning at Augusta, I would think, All
right. So I found this article. See, it's all coming together, folks. We're bringing it back into fishing without forcing it. So
I love the deep dive you're in that you actually, while the tournament's going on, you think you see one on a boat.
So I found this article on golf.com. The title of it is The Secret Monsters That Lurk in Augusta National's Creeks and Ponds. Kind of talks through just about like what they're fishing for, but this is where it gets kind of cool, where there is actually a Bass Talk Live and professional fishing connection here. A few years back, Golf So caught up with 11-time PGA Tour winner Andy Bean to pick his brain about the best fishing spots on the PGA Tour. His top pick was Augusta National.
Wow, that's cool.
So here's the quote. You've heard of Bassmaster, but bass at the Masters? You bet, says Bean, who used to fish Augusta during tournament week and once landed a 7.5-pound bass from the banks of the pond.
Wow.
On the par 3 course. People would say, you're crazy. You're going to Augusta and you're going to fish. Bean says, but I'd golf. But I'd be on the golf course at 7 a.m. I'd practice, I'd play, and then I'd practice a few hours more. Then the last half hour, I'd go fish. Now that's something special. Private water, sure, but open to a man who'd earned his way onto the grounds. I don't think it's something they really publicize, but I'm not the only one, Bean says. I've got photos of Sam Snead fishing right off number 4 on the par 3. It's one of the coolest things you'll ever see.
See, I didn't see any fishing going on while I was there. They were all about the prep work, but that's pretty cool because there are a lot of ponds, and that's such a private place. I mean, I can't imagine chunking something out there. I mean, I bet like a topwater bite there would be pretty fun. They probably eat it like a peacock bass. They probably don't see many lures,
So Andy Bean recently passed away. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity to be on the golf course at the same time with Andy Bean in Florida several years ago with Bobby Lane, who was a close personal friend. And at the time, Jeffries was still just pounding me for new and innovative ideas for bass fishing. So I lived on a golf course in Norman. And every night I'd always had this idea like, man, I'd love to cast to this par 3 that I lived right on number 13. So I took a little screw with a eyelet, like for a hanger for something like an ornament, screwed it into the golf ball, put it on 15-pound test braid and a 7.6 long spinning rod, and went out and started bombing casts to the green, and was shocked at how I could get it out there over 100 yards and could cast it and could manipulate it in the air and land it. So then I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to do like a series with a angler who golfs and also fishes? So I had some extra time in Florida.
Yeah.
So I called Bobby Lane and he's like, oh, hell yeah, let's do it. I'll play.
Dude, I've heard he's a good golfer too.
He's very good.
I haven't got to play with him, but I've heard he's good.
He's very good. So we had 4 irons, like a driver, and then flipping and pitching, and then you could putt. You had to pitch it into the hole. Well, he brought Andy Bean along to this course.
Oh, that's cool.
And we did a 6-hole match. I called it Line Links or some stupid name like that. But Bobby cast. We selected the holes based on that would be fairly accurate. Bean hit the golf club. Bobby cast the golf ball attached to the rod and reel, and it was such a fun day. Bobby actually flipped in, I think, for I think he actually beat Andy Bean because on the par threes, he literally like birdied. We had 3 par threes and I think 3 par fours, but I thought it was cool when I saw that. So I have an Andy Bean signed scorecard from
That's cool.
that round that we did. So like I said, just passed away, but an avid fisherman. And yeah. I thought that was cool to find that article from a guest.
And like when we're talking comparisons and parallels, I do think it's especially like through the years with me guiding here on Toledo Bend and stuff, and even in tournaments, there's a lot of fishermen that love to play golf, and there's some golfers that like to fish as well. But like there's a lot of the guys bring their clubs on the road and they play for fun. Like it's something for me. It's just a fun way to turn off the the grind of the bass fishing world every once in a while and play some golf. And, like my friends know that if they want to hang out, we go play golf. We don't go fishing usually. We do that because we travel around, fish so much already that it's fun to go do that. But
all right, we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, I saw it this past week, the full effect of the Netflix docu-series Full Swing, the first 2 seasons, and how that brings people who would otherwise not be interested in watching televised golf completely into it and captivated for hours on end. And I want to get your thoughts on if you think that would actually work at a high level in fishing. I know there's been some rumors of that swirling around for the past couple of years. Haven't seen anything. So it's BTL on a Wednesday, talking with BTL regular Darold Gleason. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Gamakatsu, the innovation leader in fish hooks, is launching Nano Alpha technology in 2024. Nano Alpha is a new finish available on Gamakatsu's most popular hook styles. It delivers 2 times slicker performance, 4 times better corrosion resistance. Nano Alpha technology makes the world's greatest fish hooks even better in 2024 to help anglers catch more fish.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
All right, welcome back, BTL on a Wednesday. Guess what I just found? Boy, I'm on my game today.
You're in a rabbit hole, I feel like.
I found the promo for line links, which is what I called the Andy Bean verse. I had big plans of like turning this into like the next Frisbee golf. It never happened. Let me see if I can get this. So we're gonna play it. It's like a 2-minute promo.
It's gonna be exciting. This is throwback.
This is yes, it is definitely Jeffrey's era. But I mean, like I edited and did it. I was extremely proud of myself for this. Let's share the system audio. There it is. Yes, we're sharing with guests. All right. Sound on. Hide that. You ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm disappointed I don't remember this. I feel like I know everything about PGA.
Hitting 3. Today we got a little challenge. I've got to take a drop on the first hole. Now I got to flip it into this hole to have the hole
with the all-time great Andy Bean.
I'm going to play conservative and hope he messes up.
Oh, that was Bass Zone days. Okay, so something I didn't think about there is really cool was watching Bobby Lane driving the cart with one hand and reeling his line.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking when he drove, he had like hit his drive or whatever. He had to actually reel his line as he went.
Damn, I forgot. That was freaking cool. That was well produced.
What?
I had such a good time on that. So that was me with 2 sets of microphones and 1 camera that talked Bobby Lane into doing this with a PGA Tour pro. And then I just went out there, had no clue what I was doing. Like, do you know how hard that was to shoot? Because I would have to shoot everything at the tee or where they shot. And then I would have to like run down. I had like a camera on a tripod that was set up way down the way. So I would set that up and then I would run back, film as they shot, then use the camera on the tripod for their shot. And it did it the whole time. It took like 3.5 hours.
You really missed a window here because, you know, like YouTube golfers is like a huge thing now. Like
100%. I could have combined the golf and the fishing, the 2 biggest, like.
You are sitting on a gold mine, my friend. But
does this pop up in the next, like this was 2015, I want to say 2017, maybe probably 2017.
I don't know. Who knows? It might be the next big thing. Lines and links. Is that what you called it?
Well, I think I called it line links with a Z. Yeah. Coming March 14th, 2017.
Love it.
So it was 7 years ago. We did everything with a Z at the end. In hindsight, probably not a fantastic marketing tool, but it is what it is. Speaking of marketing tools, I want to dive into this. So
let's just need
Full Swing dropped last year on Netflix. How would you best describe exactly what it is for those who haven't seen it?
I mean, it's similar to what it's just a higher produced version of what you're seeing some of the fishermen do. They have cameras with them all the time. The way it was to me, if I remember right, I watched the first season of Full Swing. I hadn't watched the second, but like they would follow several different guys, which it has to be very hard to do. Mm-hmm. But somehow they would always like end up focusing on the guy that won the event. But it was all the behind the scenes stuff too. Like it wasn't just tournament week. It was them with their family, them doing different things. So it's kind of a lot of what like me and my wife try to do for social media and stuff. It's like try to give people that view, you know, the view that I didn't have prior to this life, prior to what I'm doing now as a career. Mm-hmm. We're wanting to share that with people. So I think that kind of deal, it's showing a window that people's never seen before for those guys. But yeah, we actually watched it because we like golf. What I liked a lot about it was it showed like the person behind the athlete. So like we fell in love with some of the dudes, like them and their families, like Tony Finau, man, like he has like 6 or 7 kids and him and his wife are super close, but to watch how they do life, like it was really, really cool. And I remember who was the guy on first season in the bucket hat? I can't remember his name that everyone just fell in love with. Like he has such a
Joel Damon.
Joel Damon. But he was like, it's maybe like how some people feel towards some fishermen. They feel like are like one of the guys. That's kind of how he was, you know, like he was just like hard on himself when he hit a bad shot, or like kind of like me. If I have a bad tournament, I'll tell you I sucked. Like, I don't mind saying it. It was just really cool to get more of the personalities and the lifestyle of it. But, and you mentioned earlier, I've heard rumors like for fishing, like maybe, I don't know if it's in the works or not. I've just heard rumors. It's been talked about, but nothing's ever happened.
I got to pull up some more things here. So it's amazing. Those are the 2 people that you brought up because my girlfriend Courtney has never golfed. She's into sports. She's athletic, but not a golfer. But we started watching Full Swing. Basically, we watched the whole first season in one night and the whole second season in another night. But she was at the house this past weekend. I had the Masters on. And I was like, oh, we can, if you want to. And she goes, no. She goes, how's Tony Finau doing? And so we looked it up, and she rooted it. And then she's like, wait, is Joel Damon in the, I said, I don't think he's in the match. Why not? So then we looked up all that stuff. So then there were some, all the players. So she watched from start to finish the entire final round of the Masters, was completely invested in Scotty Scheffler, looked him up, was all about him being a good guy, and the whole thing, knew all, and it was 100% because of the investment that she had made into the Full Swing documentary and the behind the scenes that helped her appreciate what was going on the golf course as someone who had never swung a club.
Yeah. So like, it's kind of wild that something non-related to that specific tournament made her a fan of those guys.
100%. So
like,
naturally then you're going to say, well, it's golf. They have the ability to do that. There's millions of more people who care. You can produce it for millions of dollars, etc. Right. So I bring you,
I feel like this is going to be your next big thing.
No. So I went deep into the rabbit hole on, and there's another one out there too. Netflix to premiere We Are the Champions. So there have been multiple documentaries on the world of competitive chili eating. There's one out right now.
Yeah.
I'm looking at so after this documentary came out, what year was it? Something Hot, I believe is what it was called. Here, Something Hot documentary.
Yeah, I know, like Netflix doing that. They've done it for other sports too. I haven't watched all the other ones, but I've heard several sports. Like it started off with quarterbacks, didn't it? Didn't they do one on quarterbacks?
Yes.
I haven't watched those yet, but what do you think?
I say that to say this. So I went and I looked at all of the social medias and podcasts and shows and YouTube followings of everybody for this world of hot pepper eating. Dude, it's like minimal. It's not millions of followers. It's not hundreds of thousands of followers, but
it's a niche thing.
Right. So if they can take everything that goes on with the support team and everything with fishing, it's there, because if they can do it about guys who are professional, competitive chili pepper eating people, like the elements are there for it. And then on season 2, they actually, they dive into the live and PGA split even more and a bunch of different stuff. Like we have all of the elements in professional fishing and the characters. It has to be done professionally and correctly. And those streaming companies are begging for content like that, because that's all not produced by them. That's produced by independent people who do series and then either sell them to Netflix or get them onto those streaming services.
I think it would be unbelievable. I think it'd be a great opportunity for, I try to always think of things like for the industry, but also like as a guy that wants to be out there fishing the pro stuff, right? Like even like at the open level, like just people getting to share their stories with people. How we could build our fan base as an industry. Like we could get people actually excited. There's so many people that fish, dude, that don't even know professional fishing exists. They'll go fish in their grandmother's pond or in a local stream, but they don't know we exist. It'd be a really cool way to introduce our sport and our characters to public. As long as it's the right people. There's some people we might.
I know, but listen, I was mowing the yard yesterday on my John Deere before the belt broke, which I have to go get a new belt now, which is just a pain in the butt. But yeah, I know that's why we're talking about this. There's been some of this in the past, but if you get this in front of the right documentary maker, say, what if I told you that you had a unified league for 50 years from one guy in tassels and a cowboy hat, and then there was a bitter split where 80% of the best anglers of the world went to a completely new league that was owned in part by the richest sports guy in the world, and Stan Kroenke, who owns Premier Soccer and NHL teams and world champion NFL teams, and now he's an owner of this fishing league. And there's a bitter split as they try to figure out their own paths. And there's
wild,
dynamics right there with the wives. But then now throw into it to what's happening is you have guys that are defecting one and leading and going to the next. And now you've got guys that are getting kicked out over a player owner that some feel is making poor decisions over there,
right,
while the other league tries to grow. And then this new technology is brought in that throws the entire thing upside down. And now you have veterans pitch against rookies who are taking over the spot that hadn't picked up a rod or reel 5 years. Like, dude, there's so much stuff that you could do there, and so many guys that are in their prime right now. It would be
plenty of storylines there.
You don't even have to know what a fishing rod is. No,
there's tons of storylines there. To me, that's a way to, you hear growing our sport a lot, right? Like, that's all you hear people in the industry. They want to grow our sport, want to grow. Why aren't we doing this, man? That'd be like an awesome way to introduce our sport to the public. I would be game in a heartbeat for something like that, to show everything that anglers go through and all the different angles and things like that. Like, there's a lot of stories to be told, dude. It would be really cool. And it'd be fun for our fishing fans to see that. Like,
and Scott Water says, or no one would watch but us. I think that what we've just proven is that's not true. I watched a 3-part mini documentary series on guys who eat chili peppers. My girlfriend just watched 12 episodes, and she's never held a golf club in her life. I am not into race car, and I watch the Drive Formula One. Like, I watch all that stuff because you get invested in the backstory, because the storytelling is done properly. We're looking at it from the fishing standpoint. We need to look at it from the product and production and human element standpoint.
It's done so far. Like, when I watch the golf one, and even friends of mine that's watched the other ones, it's done in such a way that it's a story being told. You get encapsulated in the story. It's not so much, hey, I'm not into fishing. I mean, I think it would be as good or better than the ones they've done. And the ones they've done have been super. Like, don't think if you went and looked up how many people watch Full Swing, a lot of them are like your girlfriend. A lot of folks that do not play golf watched it. I think it'd be the same for fishing. I think a ton of people would watch. And that's maybe that would be a way to this won't happen, but my dream is for our industry to quit all the back and forth crap. I'm just tired of all that. So maybe this would be like a good way to tell the story, get it out there, be done with it, and everybody can go on and talk about fishing some more and not all the other stuff.
Netflix Full Swing is already having a huge impact on PGA Tour numbers. A docudrama.
Imagine how many
63% of Full Swing viewers tuned into PGA Tour coverage, and 11% of those viewers had not turned into the coverage in the 6 months leading up to the debut, but turned in after watching the show.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, you introduce people to something new. They're intrigued by it. They're at least going to give it a try. Think how many people watched this and maybe went even to the golf course for the first time and played. Or like you just said, like, obviously more of them watched it. So what would that do for fishing for us?
42% spend more time watching pro golf after seeing Full Swing. 36% spend more time engaged with pro golf or social media after watching Full Swing. And 27% spend more time reading pro golf news / articles after watching Full Swing. Listen, I've got a vested interest in this, because if this happens, dude, this is how I make my money. God knows it's not through fishing the opens.
Amen.
I do a show every single day.
I'm with you, brother.
I mean, what's the saying? A rising tide floats all ships. Have we heard that in the past 5 years at all, Darold?
It seems like some people have said stuff like that. Yeah. No, I mean, and look, the anglers I'm friends with and know and stuff, and some of the ones I don't know so well, like, they would be on board with this. Like, it'd be a great opportunity for the anglers, for the industry, for the organizations, just for everyone to tell their story. And all we'd really be doing was just giving the public an opportunity to view what we do, see the people we are. And like you just said, I mean, I think the numbers would go up all around. Viewership would go up for sure. But instead of that, we get walleye cheaters stuffing weights in fish, and that's how we're known.
That goes viral.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I had a friend of mine that doesn't fish. I don't remember the ties, but somehow he had an aunt or someone he was related to in Britain. And that stupid news story was on TV, on national TV in Britain, talking about we got weights in fish. Like,
oh, I get asked about that more than anything by anybody who doesn't know about fishing. Still, 2 years later, it is the number one most asked thing. You know, if you're in a plane or something, and someone asks,
you know, that, I mean, we would be ignorant if we didn't think that if we could introduce people to something cool about fishing, they'd pay attention. People got all over that dumb story. So, you know, imagine telling like a story like someone like Palahniuk and like the things he's done in his life, and now he's traveling with his two, you know, little kids. Like, there's a lot of cool stories there. That
Carl,
I mean, yeah, same with Carl. Like, or like even now, Kyoya, some of our Japanese anglers, people traveling around.
Drew Gill, one of the young kids.
Yeah, look at John Garrett's story, dude. Like, he just won a tournament. He was in the Opens a long time trying to make it. Like, there's just it's endless, and we all know those, but the overall public hadn't even been introduced. They don't have an idea that they would find this interesting.
I mean, dude, like, how do you put a camera in Wheeler's house and put a camera in Trayton Chris's house? There you go.
There you go. Hey, look, dude. You know I ride the line pretty good. I'm not controversial, but I would love a camera with Boyd Duckett. I think that would be interesting.
There's all sorts of stories, and that's what when you get something that's the high caliber of production, like a Full Swing, there's people that literally have gone to film school. That's their job. That's one of the reasons why Scott's stuff absolutely exploded, which he's always had it. But man, he had Brandon who went to, I mean, that was his job. He went and got a college degree for it and went off, and like, it just so happened to be in the fishing world to tell Scott Barton's story.
He learned how to tell the story. You know what I mean? That's the thing. This would be run by people who know how to tell the story. It's not someone guessing how to do it. So there's
the stuff we've done. I have no idea how to put it together. Like the Gunnersville effect and the Steve Kennedy story. I just sat down with a bunch of stuff and just put a linear story together. I don't have any training in that.
Right. Yeah. No, it's cool. I think it's a wonderful idea. It'd be cool.
All these people that are saying no Boyd Duckett, 1000% you tune in to watch it though.
You tune in to watch it. I mean,
they
tune in right now. If I went on social media and said, "Hey, I'm doing a 1 hour special on everything I know about Boyd Duckett," I'd have the greatest social media numbers I've ever had.
I could totally see this. The wrought iron fence with the jumping bass on it slowly opens, and then it goes down the lane to the governor's old mansion on the shores of Gunnersville with the inlaid largemouth bass in the pool, and there's Boyd Duckett. I mean, dude, that would be it's out of Hollywood. And then you got guys who are living in their dang trucks that are at the same dude.
There's plenty there, trust me. And look, I love this sport. No matter how the sport treats me, like, even though it kicks my butt sometimes, I love it, man. I've spent most of my adult life chasing bass in tournaments, right? Or chasing them on guy trips. I love it. So I root for things that'd be good for the industry, and I think this would be amazing. It'd be an amazing. You got the
feel-good story in Hamner, young wife and kid. Like, Hamner called me the other day. He called me back. He didn't call me out of the blue. But I was chatting to him, and I said, what is that like?
You don't make calls.
I said, what is that like opening up your banking app? And he just started giggling. And he's like, dude, he's like, sometimes I just like sit at home and I open it up and then we just laugh. It's like, cause I mean, like, the feel good story that would be to follow.
A couple years ago, this dude was mowing grass. He was mowing grass and had a dream. Like, imagine telling his story, dude. And there's a lot of those. There's plenty of guys talk about, but he was cutting grass and fished on the weekends, basically, and then like turn that into the top of the sport in just a couple years. You know, it's people would. I don't care if they know about fishing; they would turn in just to see those storylines. Like, people like to see regular blue collar folks living their dreams and what those dreams are like. If people are tuning in to watch people eat hot peppers, I mean, come on, man.
But it goes to the story behind it. Like, one of the guys in this documentary, his wife thinks he's spending too much time in the pepper game, and they've got a young kid, and she's making a choose between his pepper podcast and her. So, I mean, it goes through this deal where he comes on where he has to like give up his pepper podcast to save the relationship. But then guess what I did? I went and followed the dude on social media and was like, oh my gosh, he's back on the pepper podcast. And now I'm into the world of peppers.
And we all I have friends, I think they've literally got divorced because they like to fish tournaments and they like to run around the country.
And think about the human interest story.
So relatable. Yeah, it's so relatable, dude. Like what we do is very relatable. I just think that we have to introduce it to people. Social media is great, but generally people have to seek us out on social media. They have to be a fan of fishing or something along with that to seek us out to even do it. But even like locally for me, the folks that I taught school with or we went to church with or whatever, who know me and my wife, that follow us, that know nothing about fishing, that have followed me through the years, that just shows if you take people and introduce them to our sport, they would follow along for sure. I mean, I'd be down.
I mean, just the human interest part of your story. You fish both tours. You try for a decade to make it to the top level. Whether you want to, I mean, no, I'm not being general. I'm trying to say, I mean, you could, but there was also some technicalities as to why you're not currently on the Elite Series as well. But here's the human interest part.
There wasn't. I should have just called
you try for a decade. You realize the dream. You do it for 2 years. You get kicked out. And instead of saying, well, I did it and it didn't work out, you immediately dive right back into
I think
all 9 of the AAA, traveling it with your wife. I mean, there's all sorts of behind the scenes human interest stories just with the Gleason household.
Think of someone like David Williams, who also in my shoes, he was out there for a few years and now this year he's not. He's had to go over to another league. He's qualified for the Elite several times. There's just there's endless stories and opportunities for the anglers and the industry. I would watch it. And look, right now these days I don't keep up with competitive fishing as much as I used to. Like I took a step back a little bit of how much of it I intake because I just found it got to a point for me it was hard that's all I was doing, right? So but just think of all the scenarios. I mean,
but I don't care if you watch it. You'd watch it even if it sucks. I care about. You want to talk about 2019 when MLF and the BPT. Remember they were throwing around the term soccer moms a lot for a couple years back when they were. I mean, it was big. Hey, we're getting the soccer mom demographic. Getting them to tune in to the MLF app and watch tournament fishing is not going to get that demographic. You know what gets that demographic? Human interest, engaging to where the fishing is related back to their personal lives. So you actually understand what the fish catch is.
And look, so like, I know, like I can't read all the comments and stuff. So I know people say different things, but if we need any further proof, someone like Ben Milliken, look at his story, but look at his YouTube following. It's not just because of what he does on the water. He is a great teacher. From what I've heard, he catches tons of big ones. He does cool videos, but it's not just the fishing content why he's followed. You know, I would say he has a great he's introduced a lot of people to the sport based on how he does things and showing different things in life. So, I mean, like, who wouldn't want to see what Gerald Swindle does in the off season working on his farm with his wife? You know what I mean? Like, there's just tons of different avenues there. Like a lot of the guys go home and go hunt when the season's over. Guys like me, every time I get home, I go play golf. There's a bunch of dudes that go back and have to work a 9 to 5, or they're like a Luke Palmer, man. Like he's worked for years in the family business and things like that. There's a lot of relatable human interest stories that I think would be watched. I mean,
there it is. It's Hulu. Hulu series, super hot, shows why pepper people and chili heads love feeling the burn.
Pepper people. You just like
totally
saying
forgot.
People.
No, so here's what they did. They created these people. It's 10 episodes, people, on competitive chili eating. And it's not like some of these people, but they get less views, very comparable to the bass fishing world. It's way more niche than bass fishing. There's way more people that bass fish than that eat. But the 10 episode Super Hot goes deep into the world of pepper personalities like Johnny Scoville, which is how they measure the heat of peppers, a popular reviewer and YouTube host. Audria de Guzman, a relative newcomer who grows peppers and makes her own hot sauce. A British pepper eating champion who's never lost. Tony Primo, the grower of the world's hottest pepper. And it's 10 episodes that goes into the backstories. And by the end, you're watching this chick eat a hot pepper, and you're really concerned about her legacy.
Like you're that into it that like you're drawn into it that much.
At least I was.
Dude, think how cool it'd be too. Like maybe even a point of view of like a business owner in the industry, like let's say a tackle company or lure company, like going to ICAST or like the competitiveness in like, the lure world. Like that'd be cool to see like how a Strike King trying to stay ahead of, let's say Berkeley or whoever, like there'd be a lot of cool things there too. Or like how Yamaha is trying to stay one step ahead of Mercury or, whoever. Like it'd be look, and for all of us fish nerds, it'd be a cool way to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff. But I still think people outside would jump in and watch. It'd be cool.
I don't want to beat a dead horse here. I think we've covered it pretty good.
We beat it to death. What are your what's your folks saying? What's the listeners saying? Would they watch?
No, everybody's on board. Bobby, the closest thing that we've had to it was the circuit breaker. That is correct. That was a bit. I think that came around just at a bad time for FLW. As far as financial, I wish that had been around when the Walmart money was rolling in and when they were able to pay. Like, could you imagine if instead of paying the fantasy fishing winner $1 million, which I don't think he ended up getting that whole $1 million, but they put $1 million towards circuit breaker?
Yeah, I mean,
like the Cody Meyer circuit breaker. Didn't Mark Daniels Jr. do it for a year?
He did, and I'm sure like you need to ask them that the next time you got them boys on. Like I bet for them personally, they saw a whole lot of growth, and probably all of it wasn't just fishing nerds.
We're talking about it 6 years later.
Yeah, I remember watching all that stuff. Brian Latimer, didn't he do it?
Yeah, I think it was Latimer.
And it was
and
that
then
was huge.
Didn't they do JT Kenny and Chad Grigsby?
Yeah, they done a good job on who they chose. They were good personalities. So yeah, I mean maybe it'd come. It'd be something else for us to watch. I would love it. But have you been fishing any at all lately, or just watching the Masters?
No, I told a funny story to Frank. I went and fished a jackpot last Wednesday. It was the first time I'd fished this lake in the jackpot. So, like, what are the rules of etiquette in your opinion? Small Oklahoma lake, never fished that jackpot before. Facebook thing that says, "Hey, here's the lake, here's the cost. Welcome to show up. Have at it." And then you roll up for the very first time. Like, what are the rules of etiquette that you follow in that first jackpot before you get to know the guys? Because that's a little nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah, and I mean, now at this point, I just don't do them, honestly, because it just seems like it can stir the pot with guys. Some guys don't want to see someone who does it professionally show up. But overall, I mean, I'd show up in the past. I show up and just be one of the guys. And a lot of times you're not necessarily winning just because you show up. But I always just try to show up and be one of the guys. Like, that's something now that I feel like I don't get to do. I miss out on. I mean, a lot of times those jackpot deals, it's the most fun is had after the tournament. Standing around the parking lot.
No, it's a great evening.
Telling fishing stories, and like it's a cool way to meet new people. And, like for a year, I mean, I have people I'm close to that I met like through a little Thursday night jackpot we done here on Toledo Bend for years that, afterwards we hang around for an hour and a half. We all I had to go teach school the next morning and I'm hanging out in the parking lot till 10:30, an hour away, because it was fun. So like, what do you think as far when you say etiquette, are you talking about like, should you not do it?
We just kind of did like a low key shotgun start where he said nobody run anybody else over. So I just wanted to make sure that like I wasn't first, but then I also didn't know like did I need to hang out around the truck? Like did he have a little pre-tournament meeting, or are you in the boat where you look like you're antisocial? And then
see, I don't have that problem. I can always find somebody to yap to, especially about fishing. You know what I mean?
And I talked to some guys, but like at the end, then they all pulled their boats up on the bank and they all watched the weigh-in. Well, I sent my buddy to go get the truck. So like while they're congratulating the winners, I'm pulling out and up into the top parking lot, which afterwards I was like, that was not a good look, but he was already coming down.
Great. Yeah.
Right. Like, but I didn't know that because in every other jackpot I fished, you load and then you bag. Well, they pull their boats up, bag, weigh in, and then load. But I didn't know that.
Well, now you do. So here's the deal. You got to go back now and follow the rules of order. You got to go back one more time do it the right way. But that was always fun to me. Like, it's still, that's the excitement of like any tournament weigh-in. You don't know what happens from the time we're gone till we come back. And now it's like watching, you got to see the last 3 minutes of a good movie to see how it ends. That's what the weigh-in is to me. It's like, who caught them? And then hanging out afterwards and all that. It's fun. But I haven't fished like a little jackpot like that in a long, long, long time. We have a few here on Toledo Bend that our travel schedule isn't as bad this year. So I'm hoping to get to pop in and do a few. I know one of the local tackle stores, they do one every Thursday evening. I think that stuff's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we all still love that. It's cool. So
absolutely. It's the most enjoyable.
But I think as far as etiquette, for me, I stand back and follow the leader. Like, I just kind of see what's going on around me and try to emulate it the best I can. Because you never want to be rude or anything. You don't want to be like you pulling off over in the corner. Everyone else is congratulating the winners. And there's that stuck up podcast guy.
Well, no one knew who I was. It's just that I had a wrapped boat and I've got the power brakes on it and then the double stack on the front. I mean, it just is the
big open pro.
When I rolled up, I knew that I was asking for it because
how'd you do? How did you place in the tournament?
I didn't even weigh the fish in. I chucked one because so I heard 12 and 8 and 6 and we had 1 4-pounder. So I chucked it and then I did the go get the truck motion because my buddy was like, "Oh, we need to wait." No, because they only paid 3 spots and I heard 3 heavier weights. So I should have weighed in 1.
I'd walk up there and weigh it. Be proud. You worked hard for that one bass. Man.
I made multiple mistakes, but then we also live scoped in the middle, so it was like
I could see,
danged if you do, danged if you don't.
I could see that, like you rolling in hot and you cool boat, you wrap boat, and then
exactly.
You're too good to weigh your one fish. No,
exactly.
No,
I know I made a mistake there, but I knew we were screwed because you could tell that the rods that were strapped on the front deck, because they all line up before you had been there since the last Wednesday night. They said, okay, that's a good night, hooked it up, and those things stayed on the front deck until that next week. Like those were local, like they smashed them.
I feel like now you got to go back. You got to weigh in what you catch. You got to go through procedure. Tonight. Well, what's stopping you? What are you doing today? You got nothing going on, man.
Yeah.
No, you should go do it, dude. I bet you. And honestly, too, like in those deals, after you go a time or two, you become one of the boys. And then you do get to hang around the parking lot afterwards, drink a beer, shoot the bull. Like,
they were all nice to me. Not a single person was rude or mean. Tournament director was fantastic. Yeah. I mean, it was your classic Oklahoma 15-pote jackpot on a Wednesday.
Yeah. No, that stuff's fun, dude. Like
there was a Vexus there. There were guys with scope and everything, but No,
that's cool. No, I kind of miss those. Like, I want to do these here on Toledo Bend, like bring my wife, bring a buddy, that kind of deal, and jump in occasionally. And but like you said, a lot of times you're asking for it because a lot of these guys are on the water more than us right now, and they're going to pound you. You're going to take a whooping, but it's fun. Like it's, like I got a couple neighbors' kids and things like that, like to fish. I always thought that'd be fun to take them to a jackpot and roll out there and see what we can catch. It'd be fun.
What else you got before I let you go? What are you doing today? Are you golfing? Are you like literally going to go to your local golf club dressed in all of your Masters gear and just answer the same questions I ask you for the next 8 hours?
No, I've worked through that with all the boys. They've asked how it was and stuff. But yeah, I'm wearing the merch now. I think it's going to change my game, and it hasn't. But yeah, we're going to go play. I got some buddies in. My buddy Clay, the poker pro, he had a really good weekend. So winning poker, so he's got some money. So we're going to go try to sight.
Wait, am I keeping you from the course right now?
Oh no, you're actually not. No, you're not. No, we have we played yesterday, and we're going to play again today. We have like a lunchtime tee off. So no, you're actually, what you're keeping me from now is each day I'm doing a little bit of Logan Martin tackle prep, tackle packing, that kind of stuff. So I kind of do that in the morning.
How many minnows and jig heads do you need?
I know, like, where's the my new saying is, where's the closest boat ramp and where's my minnow? You know what I mean? Where's my minnow and where's the closest boat ramp? But no, I mean, I like to spend a little time tinkering on tackle and stuff like that, get my boat like I want it, kind of setting stuff out that I'm gonna pack in the truck. So I'm doing some of that and starting to think about Logan Martin. Like, we've had 3 tournaments.
We have
now, like, it's kind of go time
mid-season.
Yeah, we're like 2/3 still, so a lot of fishing to go. But I think me and you are probably in a similar
No, you're in a way better boat than me right now. I mean, I'm still in a boat, which is shocking.
Right.
But you're in a much better vessel when it comes to a point situation.
But neither of us are, I mean, you know, I've had other buddies say like, oh, you're like, I think I'm around 40th or something.
Yeah, we're both having engine trouble.
We're having engine trouble. I've had buddies say like, oh, you're not in a bad spot. But like when only 9 places matter, we're not in a good spot. But there's a lot of fishing to go.
I mean, would you rather be in a hole that's 5 foot deep or a hole that's 8 foot deep?
Right.
That's kind of
I mean, with 6 events
rather
together,
be on the top of the mountain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we gotta turn it up a little bit, man. We got to start catching them a little better. You know,
I like spotted bass.
I know you like spotted bass, and there's still a few of them. And there's really nowhere that I'm like right now, like, oh, I'm going to smash them there because I love that place. But looking big picture, like the year I qualified, even though I only qualified in one division, you know, only one division. After the first tournament, I was 45th. So similar position, you know, couple top 10s, and we're right back in it.
You know what's weird about this sport, and I literally thought about it on the water at Santee Cooper, was we were driving around on Washita, and every time I stopped to talk to you, you were like, I don't have them, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm smashing them. Just go do this. Like, just grind it out. It'll happen. And you're like, what the hell? And I'm like, how is Darold not getting this? Like, it's super easy. And then at Santee,
it was fun to see the
opposite, where you're just like, yeah, dude, like, just grind it out. Like, just do this. It'll happen. And I'm like, I don't know how the hell he's catching them. Yeah. It was literally the exact 180 back-to-back tournaments.
It's brutal. Like, I can't you pulled up on me at Washita, and I'm like, brother, I am sucking. I ain't caught a bass in hours. And you're like, pick up a jerkbait, dude. It's easy. I just caught some right there. And then at Santee, you got close to me and watched me reel in a big one. I'm like, dude, wacky the trees. And it's so, our sport is brutal. And like I have buddies that are like, man, you're not doing that bad. You're just out. But only 9 spots matter. Mm-hmm. That's the brutal spot of it. Yeah, I know there's some dudes behind me that wish they were still had their chance. I get it. But as a competitor, top 9, that's where we want to be. So, yeah, we got to tune it up. I don't know if we need to stop anymore. Like, it ain't helping me when you stop and say, go do this. I appreciate the effort, but I still, like at Washita, after you left, you're like, yeah, I'm catching them. You were so confident, dude. And obviously,
I went and caught after I saw you, I caught a 5 and a 3.5.
I know. And you had a great day, had a great tournament, but it's weird that some guys, and I don't know, me and you haven't been working together like that very, very long. So maybe it's one of the things, the more we do it, the more we'll see it works out, I guess. But
I kind of talked to Andrew on the water a little, like not.
Yeah, I have some other buddies.
It helps though when you see him and you're like, hey, what are your thoughts on the day? Oh, I've only got 2 or 3, or it's going. Like, I mean, I like to have feedback because in our sport there is no scoreboard on the bass side. Yeah, so you know what another dude's practice has kind of been. You know how he likes to fish. If he's in the same section of the lake, and you can legally chat with what he's got, it kind of gives you an idea of, am I missing the boat?
To me, it's like it's not so much the exact like, hey, dude, go do this. It's so much, hey, Charlie Hartley, love old Charlie. It's more about the general, depth. Are they biting? Are you catching? The sick part of this is we know in the back of our minds every day, if you're not catching them, everybody else is. Like, we know that. Yeah. But it does help when you have a buddy you've talked to and you have a general idea of how their practice was and now how their day is going. It does give you ideas, of things to try, things to do, and all that stuff. But it's funny you shared that, though, because at Santee, I mean, I had no idea the guys were going to wreck them like they did. It's just becoming expected. You have to understand, if we think 16 a day is good, we need to understand 20 is what it's going to take. But it was I don't want to say funny. It was interesting to see. We had similar practice, I felt like. And then you had a tougher time in the tournament. And even when you did stop, I'm like, yeah, this is all I'm doing. And you actually stopped in one area close enough to see me catch a pretty big one. That's the only fish I caught there. But it happened to be like a big one that day or whatever. So it's
so weird how that works.
It's weird. But look, dude, 6 tournaments to go, a lot of season still to go. I'm still guiding at home when I'm home and stuff like that. But
you got open days?
I do. here and
Well,
there.
pump it. This is your chance. Here, I'll give you the full screen if you want a chance to get on the water and catch an ocean pony with the one and only Darold Gleason on Toledo Bend Reservoir, the top fishery in the country, according to Bassmaster.
Yeah, we have to plan it around my golf schedule, though. That's how I do it these days. No, fishing's good. The lake rose a little bit like it did everywhere else. So that slowed us down for a few days, but they'll get acclimated again. But no, like when we're home, I'm doing like electronics trips, teaching trips, teaching people like, let's go practice for a day. Let me show you some of the things I like to do for a practice day. So even more than just the let's go catch them. Obviously, we're still doing the, hey, let's go catch them. But it's fun to show people those other things to help them. And then obviously my favorite is fishing in the morning, golf in the afternoon. I do that with some people as well. That's a good time. So it's a lot of fun, dude. Love Toledo Bend. It's like my happy place. And it's fun to share that with other people. So
this might be the best website opening ever. Watch, I'll refresh it.
This is my bride done all this. Look at that. See, I got to go back to the barefoot days. We may have just found my problem, Matt.
Look at this intro. Oh, that was Neely Henry.
Neely Henry, you made a top 10 there. My wife.
Look at that look.
My wife did all this, man. Ugh! I still remember that. I caught back-to-back stops in that Rayburn Open the year I qualified in 2020. That's those two fish. That moment there where I'm holding those two fish. Okay, and this is cool. You'll appreciate this.
Okay.
Whenever look at the cameraman taking the picture of my two fish on stage coming up right here. And tell me if you recognize who that is. Who is that?
There?
Yeah. He's like,
I have no idea.
J.O., dude.
Oh, that was J.O.? I didn't realize he had such a feather. Thoughts and prayers with J.O. I know he's, yeah, it is.
It's really cool you showed that. That gives us a chance to say that. Yeah, he's going through some health stuff right now. But so that moment on stage, you know, when you get a big one, I always am pretty conscious about how we handle them. And I was a little nervous about double fisting 2 9-pounders. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that was COVID year. So I had the mask on, all that on stage. And when I walked up there, I kind of leaned forward and asked J.O., hey, should I hold both of these up? And he's like, brother, you know, like J.O.
Yeah.
Hey, brother, if I was you, I'd hold him 2 things up. You know, like
meat fist those slaunches.
Yeah. He said, I'd double fist. It was really, that was a special moment, dude. But don't be surprised.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's some cool stuff.
You've got all badass photos on here.
Dude. And my wife learned all this. Now, a lot of the photos you're showing too is like from the bass photographers and MLF photographers.
I know, but I mean, you're putting them together in a very nice way.
My wife learned how to do all this stuff, dude. She's amazing for doing it. Yeah, the look there's pretty killer. But my tan line was stronger then. You know, I wore flip-flops then, so I had the thong line. And now I wear tennis shoes. I'm getting older. I kind of got an arthritic hip, so I wear tennis shoes to fish in. But I'm thinking Logan Martin, I might let them babies back out and might go back barefoot. That could be the whole thing that turns my season around.
Williams fishes barefoot. Look what he's done.
I know.
Look what he's done.
There's several other guys that barefoot fit. I'm telling you, I feel like I let something get by me here. I'm gonna have to put some tanner on them feet though, buddy. They hurt your eyes right now. But we might go back barefoot bassing and go back to crushing them. That was like those videos and pictures you just showed was like, absolutely, Pete. Yes, we could play 9 holes and go fish. Yeah, of course.
Dude, that needs to be an option on GleasonFishing.com.
Yeah, so that's kind of one of those things. It's not on the website, but like especially to my, you know, when you do this for years, you have like your regular customers come a few times a year and stuff like that, and several of them, it's part of their trip. We go fish half a day and then we go play golf. It's like, you know, part of our time we spend together, right? So, and look, they redid our course here, like our superintendent. Big shout out to Josh and his crew have been working hard. I play golf with him all the time. He probably only keeps his job as superintendent in order to pay his gambling bills that he owes me, if you're with me. But they redid our course, opened up the course to several holes now, are opened up to the lake that weren't before. So even when me and you played here years ago, you, Paul Elias and Scroggins, we played.
Dude, that was a hell of a foursome. How did me,
what?
Paul,
so
Elias, and Terry Scroggins end up on the course at this.
I don't know how you three ended up out there, but Scroggins and me are buddies, and he'd wanted to play golf. I had a guy trip that day, so I come joined y'all like maybe on the back 9 or something.
Yeah,
but
and I feel like the first couple holes after you joined us, I absolutely striped the ball.
Dude, I thought when I played, I'm like, this dude can hammer it, man. Like he's got game, and then
reality set in,
like it does from any of us. But now they redone the course, so it like opens up to the lake more. Like several new holes are on the lake, so the course is much harder. But like you can tell it's a lake course. Like you get to see the lake on more than half the holes. So it's cool. It's fun. Like I live in a great place, dude. Like it was really cool you showing all those videos and stuff though. That was like 19 and 20 season was like my run, man. That was like the best fishing in my career. So
what hole is it right where you put in there at Holly Park and you can like look across and see the hole that's like right on that water on that big giant flat that's like 2 foot deep for 150 yards.
So you're talking about the Cypress Bend launch, which is also the name of the course.
Cypress Bend. Where's Holly Park? Holly Park's a different location on Toledo.
Yeah, it's over on the
yeah, never mind.
The Texas side.
Yeah, Cypress Bend. Because you put in Cypress Bend and then
it's
you
probably hole 11, you see. But see, now you see we have a par 3, hole 8. You see it. Like you see that whole little area right there by the launch. You can see about 6 or 7 holes.
Oh, that's cool.
Now, the other part's really cool too is our lake's so big. Like on the days it's windy, it affects the golf holes. Like there's a par 3 here that's 100 yards. The one I proposed to my wife on, number 17. It's 100 yards on the water.
There needs
super
to be
scenic.
In the Full Swing documentary.
Yeah, see, that would be on there. Actually, Alan McGuckin recreated the photo several years ago, like me in my jersey proposing. It was kind of funny. But that hole's 100 yards. We played the other day, and it's blowing 30 out of the north. And we all were hitting all the guys I play with are longer than me. But I hit an 8-iron that day where normally I hit a wedge. So it's kind of made the course more scenic, but also tougher. So it's really cool. So even that, it's been fun sharing that with people. Like this is where I live, and it's the place I love most on earth. So it's fun to share all of this with people that come to visit, Toledo Bend, Lake Country. We do it all here, man. It's fun. You need to come back down and play this fall when we're done with the Opens. You need to come get some.
100%.
We need to do like
live DTL from your basement. We'll golf.
Yeah, we need to do like a crappie bass golf day. Like let's do something where we like catch a 5-pounder, play 9 holes, and then catch like a dozen crappie and slap the sides off of them.
We got to do something impressive. Could we do an 8-pounder? Well, you can't guarantee an 8 every day. Well, I'm just saying.
Oh, no, we both live scope. We can do that now. It's easy. We live scope.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Here's what I think we need to do.
Bring your minute. Come on down.
A 12-pound 7-fish limited crappie, which is almost
I'll need your expertise.
2-pound average, an 8-pound largemouth, and break par in a scramble.
God dang, dude! You see, so you're like the person that calls me for a guide trip, and they're like, "Hey, I'm coming down July 2nd, and I want you to put me on a 10-pounder, brother." Like you're kind of shooting for the stars, but I like a.
Am I on my game today, or am I on my game today?
You are. Shout out Alan McGuckin. Yeah, Guck likes doing these personal human interest stories. This was in 2016. Our house had just got done being built up here at the lake. They did redesign this hole, but it's still in the same spot of the lake, like overlooking the water. The only difference is when I actually proposed, there was a lot more tears involved. I think my wife cried some, but I cried more that, I actually found someone crazy enough to marry me. But yeah, and I wasn't wearing a jersey when I proposed. I should have wore my jersey back then. That'd have been cool, have the old school Falcon logo. Yeah, like have my sponsors support them fully. But no, it's cool.
Yeah, so, we can definitely do a trifecta deal.
I think something like that would be fun, dude. That'd be a good day.
Because the original Oklahoma hat trick that I am now officially too old to do. Well, I mean, I'm not too old, but I am too old because I have some common sense.
Yeah, well, this is something we can maybe get your viewers involved with too. Like maybe some of them that play golf, that live the good life, play golf and fish. Maybe some of them would want part of our challenge. Maybe we do something like Me and you go scramble 9 holes. Me and you go catch our best 5 bass, our best 7 crappie, and throw out some numbers and see who can beat us. How about that? How about something like that?
Ooh, I do like that.
That'd be fun. Like a little, little challenge. Throw down the gauntlet.
Yeah.
You can even put up the purse. Matt put up what? $500? Easy. Someone's in the house.
That's your golf partner.
Yeah, he's been to the course.
Your golfing buddy. He's probably been out in the damn truck for an hour and a half. Going, when is this interview gonna end?
Right. No. He's been sitting on the couch this whole time, dude. He's just chilling.
Oh yeah,
chilling. Yeah,
he's
chilling like a good boy. I think we have company, and
well,
that's what he got excited about.
Wrap it up. Did you ever get the new one out from underneath the Tundra?
Little Mo, yes, our rescue pup. He's officially a Gleason now. He is he's in full control as Rowdy of our lives. For some reason, if we go out near the truck, he's worried he's going to get left, and he will go squat under the truck. Like you can't even use treats to get him out. So we have figured out I go in from one side, kind of chase him to the other side, and my wife can then lure him in. So
team effort.
Team effort. Yep. So all right, look, we're gonna see you in 2 weeks, Logan Martin.
Yep, I'll see you there.
All right, let's go, Reckham.
Thanks, Darold. Have a good day on the course.
Right, always appreciate it, dude.
Thanks for the time. That was fun. I wasn't sure where it was gonna go. Like it could have been like 15 minutes, and then, but dude, I really enjoyed the hell out of that.
Yeah, dude, it's always fun, dude. Thank you, man.
All right, see ya. All right, that is the one and only Darold Gleason. We'll take a break. When we come back, talk about what we have going on for the rest of the week on BTL and look ahead in the world of professional bass fishing. It's BTL on a Wednesday, April 17th. We will be back right after this.
Yes. Fishing isn't just a hobby, it's an obsession. Whether it's blazing hot or bitterly cold, bright sunshine, raining, or even snowing, someplace, somewhere, there's a fish that's ready to bite. And as the angler, you need baits that will catch the fish anywhere, anytime, no matter the conditions. From throwing topwaters to cranking the depths, know the baits to throw. Choose Spro.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels, I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top 100, Strike King.
AFCO. Any fish, any water.
Your early morning mentality is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
All right, welcome back. BTL on a Wednesday, wrapping things up here. Big shout out to Darold Gleason, hour and a half long show. I love the shows where you're not exactly sure where it's going to go, but you kind of have a loose concept, and then it goes an interesting direction. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. We don't do as many. If you've listened to BTL for more than 2.5 years, you know that Mark's tagline used to be where we are going to talk about bass fishing and anything else we want to talk about. And then he would use that last sentence to dive off into finances, the business world, bowling, golf, croquet, badminton, whatever tickled his fancy, which I thought was a very interesting part of the show because there was always some sort of return correlation or some sort of comparison to bass fishing. So when I took it over full time, I just dropped the or anything else we want to talk about because it was my job to always kind of rein it back in and relate it back to bass fishing. So I kind of like the throwback show today where we did kind of dive off into the world of golf. But there's a lot of individual sports, and I've said this before, that bass fishing can learn a lot from, and even some team sports that have had a split, that has had an angler owner group that has gone out, that has tried to completely reinvent it. And there's some that have been very successful, obviously, most notably the PBR, the Professional Bull Riding Tour, and what it's become. But there's been a split that happened in rodeo. It's happened in obviously bass fishing, golf, tennis. It's very interesting to see how things shake out because there's a lot of parallels between all of them. All right, we got Uncle Frank tomorrow. He has maps, all sorts of lake study stuff. Tomorrow is a full-on, it'll be, hey, you're on go, and he's going to kind of give his seminar. And then on Friday, Guide Day presented by Omnia Pro returns with Trevor Lowe. This is an interesting one. On guide days, we kind of highlight guides from across the country. We're actually going to do a couple different Mille Lacs guides because there's multiple different trips and experiences. We're going to do Josh Douglas later in the year, talking about what he does, some real kind of high-end specialty guiding stuff up on Mille Lacs. But Trevor Lowe, who worked for Omnia for about 2 years, you've seen him on the show before. He stepped back from Omnia in order to guide full-time because he's got a young family with another one on the way, and is guiding full-time again on Mille Lacs. So he's going to be on. We went in 45 minutes, everything you've ever wanted to know about Mille Lacs, smallmouth, walleye, largemouth, the whole 9 yards. So looking forward to that one, which will be out on Friday. And then back for the following week, which would be the week of the 22nd, the 25th, which is a Thursday. BTL will be live from the registration for the Bass Cat Owners Tournament on Norfolk. So that's something exciting. We're going to be on the ground there chatting with a bunch of the guys that are taking part in that Bass Cat Owners Tournament. Then it's the Bassmaster Open in Alabama, then a week off. Then I've got a media event in South Carolina, and then the new Bass Cat comes in. So, hey guys, I mention this every once in a while. Thank you for the feedback, for the support of St. Jude and the Bass Fishing and St. Jude Bass Fishing Saves Lives t-shirts. If you guys are not a subscriber to the YouTube channel, click on that subscribe button. It gives you a little notification when I go live. To remind you, if you guys want to check it out live, we do live a lot, sometimes in the evenings with specialty shows, particularly when the schedule gets a little bit wonky to get the shows in. And then also a thumbs up. And if you're listening on iTunes or any of your podcast platforms, a rating, a review is greatly appreciated. Love the viewer feedback. Love talking about some unique stuff in the world of professional bass fishing, where it seems like a lot of stuff can become monotonous. I was just having some conversations on how I was getting burned out on covering the same thing over and over. And I said, damn, I can talk about whatever I want to. I don't have to talk about the same stuff just because it's going on. So that was a really fun show today. Some really good shows this past week. If you guys haven't had a chance to listen to Ken Duke's episode yesterday, he goes into his analysis of the greatest anglers of all time using a set of criteria. It's not just, well, I think, or this guy's the hottest now. He is taking the entire span of professional bass fishing. Experience counts, number of tournaments count. There's all sorts of different factors. And he actually came out with the top 20 on the show. He named it based on these criteria. Watch that show. Let me know the factors that you would like to see changed, or if you think he nailed it right, and then we can have him back on, because the beauty of how he determined that, because obviously there has to be some subjectivity in the judging, because how much do you weight each accomplishment, right? So he had a weighting system for each accomplishment, but the beautiful thing is he can go back into his program and change that weighting system. So you want to put more emphasis on tournaments won, or less emphasis on a classic one, or more emphasis on an angler of the year, less emphasis on one organization, more emphasis, level it out. He can do all that and see where people fall into that when it comes to, I guess, kind of our version of the greatest angler debate. So that's all we got for today. Thanks for Darold Gleason. I know it was a long show, but man, I enjoyed that. Wow. Just is on my bucket list. Cool to kind of go nostalgia and see the Andy Bean stuff. And that's all we got for today. Same place, same time tomorrow, day 4 with the man Frank Scalish. Later.